episode 1, Blissful Ignorance Podcast. This is a new thing for all of us. I don't think we've ever done a podcast before.
No. I technically, I was in a podcast.
Oh, you were on a podcast.
I never did my own, though.
You never did your own. Well, hey, see, I've never been on. I've recorded podcasts for other people, but I've never been on one myself. Same. But yeah, my name is Brock. This is, you want to just tell who you are?
Yeah, my name is Nehemiah, but no one calls me that.
We call him Nemo. Yeah. That's his name.
Just no fish jokes.
Zero, Nemo, idiot. Those are the two names.
Screw up.
Those are the two things he goes by. Yeah. And then you got Relly.
Yes, my name is Relly, pronounced like jelly, but Relly, not Riley, not Remy, not Reggie. I think that's all I've gotten so far.
But Relly.
Yeah, but I call him Money Moves.
Relly. Yeah. Nemo's name for Relly is Money Moves.
Money Moves.
It happens every time he sees him. He's got to scream it at least once.
I've called this dude Relly, like by his actual name, a handful of times.
Yeah, maybe 4.
Possibly.
Yeah, that was 5.
Yeah, yeah, that was 5. Yeah.
Nah, but yeah, and I'm Brock, and I think we kind of. It's funny. We had talked about doing a podcast. At least me and Nemo had probably what
before Rona
5 months ago, and we were joking in the car one night. We were talking about like you said something about like you said the term blissful ignorance.
Yes,
I remember. I don't remember what we were talking. I really don't remember what we were talking about.
Yeah,
and I don't remember why you said blissful.
We can't keep up our conversation.
But I was like, man, that'd be a cool podcast name, like blissful ignorance. Like that's just a cool concept to me. And ever since I heard it, we joked about like, hey, maybe we should really do this, and then never did it. And then we were talking to Relly the other night about. I didn't remember what we were talking about then, but it came up then. We were like, hey man, we should do this.
Talking about clothes.
Oh, we're talking about clothes
right.
and making clothes and stuff, and like how blissful ignorance would be like a cool brand name for clothes, especially like right now, considering all the stuff going on in the world. I feel like being blissfully ignorant is
it's almost a trend.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, sometimes it's just better not to know. Like right now, I'm like, there's some crap going on that I just rather not know about. I'd rather be ignorant to because it can drain you like emotionally and even physically. So I just think it's cool to be less. Sometimes it's cool to just take a step back and just enjoy things blissfully and enjoy and just laugh. I think you got to be able to make fun of everything. I stand by that statement. I think you just got to.
Well, maybe not everything, but something, most things.
Hey, let me just preface this right now.
Speaking hyperbole.
I speak in hyperbole all the time. So if I say you can make fun of everything, I don't mean your grandmother who just passed away.
Yeah, that's I literally went to like a family member.
Yeah, like it's not what I'm saying. Okay, I just meant like I just think people take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, I take myself so seriously.
Yeah, that's definitely who you do.
Like if someone dare me to eat hand sanitizer, it's not like I would do that or anything.
Nah, Nemo's notorious for eating things that should not be eaten.
Yes.
That's kind of his
I go by like eatable instead of edible. It's like if my teeth can chew through it, then it's eatable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See.
So
he's joking, just for the record. It's not a real.
I hope he is.
Well, I'll say he's halfway joking.
Yeah, so you like halfway ate a Tide Pod then, right?
Yeah, like just a little bit, just a little nibble.
A little nibble. Anyway, let's get back on something that's actually productive. Relly, do you want to like kind of talk about who you are, what you do, just the way people get a better understanding of our backgrounds and like kind of what we're into, I guess?
My name is Relly, and I am the best person that you'll ever meet. That's it.
Oh, wow. Hey, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Strong words.
I am originally from Charleston, South Carolina, and I went to school in college, that is, in Greenville, South Carolina. And then I worked at a camp in the mountains. Like, while I was in college, I worked at a camp also in the mountains near Boone, North Carolina. And then after I graduated, moved to Raleigh. And then I ended up going back to that camp after I graduated, worked there 2 years. And then I ended up meeting my lovely wife.
Relly is the only one who's married out of all of us.
Yes.
For the record.
I am. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I still have time.
Before you keep going, I don't mean to interrupt you. How old are you?
28.
28. I'm 23, and Nemo's 16. So we got a weird demographic dynamic going on here.
It's like Gen Z.
Yeah.
Middle of Gen Z and millennial, and then millennial.
Yeah, basically. We're like spanning 2 generations between the 3 of us.
But yeah, so like I went back to the camp, or I was at the camp for 2 years, and then moved back to Raleigh. And after that, Abby and I got married. And then we ended up coming to Quest, and then that's how we met. Nemo, and Brock. And now we live downtown Raleigh with 2 dogs. But we'll probably move in the next year or so. Yeah.
And how we all kind of met is we all go to the same church. I work at Quest Fellowship Church in Garner as a creative director. But I promise, before you freak out that we work at a church, we're not going to preach at you on this podcast. That's not what it's about. That just happens to be my job. I don't want you to think you're going to listen and just hear, about Jesus in the Bible all day, because that's not what we're going to do. We just want to talk about life in general and just the stuff we're into. It's really not going to be a sermon, I promise. But yeah, so when Relly came, I remember the first time I'd seen Relly, but I never really talked to him, and he came to one of our small group things, and I found out Relly was into cameras. That's kind of what I do, photography, videography, and me and Relly just kind of had that in common from the get-go, from the jump, and we kind of became friends around that, really. I remember the first time we hung out was really when we went to that conference last year.
Yeah.
We went to this filmmaker conference, and
went down in that
and that was also the first time that we really hung out with Nemo, because he was there at the time. He came with another group of people, and
He's transitioning.
he was transitioning, right? And but we ended up hanging out at that conference, and we had a lot of what you call Starbucks breakout sessions.
Yeah.
It's basically when we didn't go to sessions we were supposed to go to and just sat in the Starbucks that was in this facility and basically talked about nothing.
It's basically like the foundation of like all of our friendships in the first
Basically,
place.
exactly.
I mean,
all
because that's
started
where Money Moves was born.
That's true.
Because I was working on a client's pictures
yeah,
while I was at this conference, because we weren't doing anything. So
had some downtime.
And it's like, if you're just gonna do this in your downtime, you must be focused on that money, aka Money Moves.
Money Moves was born.
Yep.
At that conference. But yeah, so you also freelance.
Yeah, I freelance, so that's partially how Money Moves was made, because I always got to kind of work whenever I can. And I mean, if you're a freelancer, there's a bunch of ups and downs, especially recently with that Rona out there. Because I do a lot of event stuff, and obviously there's not that many events going on.
Hopefully.
Well, yeah. But yeah, so I freelance, and then outside of cameras, my hobbies include playing the drums.
Very good drummer.
Yeah, I'm all right. And playing Ultimate Frisbee. And at the moment, I'm actually training to run a marathon with Nemo's dad.
Yeah.
So
that I don't understand.
Neither do I.
I still don't understand.
I get here's the thing. I get running. I run. Last year, I lost a bunch of weight, so that was one of the ways I did that was running. But I'm talking like this morning I got up and ran 3 miles. Okay.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
sweet.
I walked probably half a mile of that, because today, man, I just be honest with you, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The mental
really
game
is.
was gone
It really
off
is.
today.
Meanwhile, yesterday, I ran 8 miles
Yeah,
and didn't walk at all.
Yeah, see. But here's the thing. Really, me and you are also built very differently.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
What are you talking about? I can't. They're like,
We look exactly the same.
Twins.
Nah, I'm 6'7" and
I'm
250.
Are you really 6'7"?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I mean, last time I checked, I was 5'10"-ish.
Yeah. See, I stand by the fact that big people aren't meant to run long distance. We just don't have. It takes too much effort to get all this moving and stay moving for miles and miles on end.
The knees.
My knees get out
Yeah.
fast. My legs go quickly.
I was sitting here trying to think of a athlete that runs long distances, because I was like, what about LeBron James? But basketball, yeah, you do technically run long distance, but it's not continuously.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron is he's a freak.
Well, yeah.
He's just a freak of nature when it comes to his athletic, to be as big as he is and be able to move as fast as he is.
Yeah.
And have the agility that he has is kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so you're trying to do a marathon. I'm not. Nemo's not.
Yeah, I'm not.
You want to talk about kind of what you do, what you're into?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, I'm 16, so I still have to go to school and all that. But my school situation is pretty different. My whole life, I never really went to a normal school. I always went to some type of unconventional school.
Apex Friendship.
But then through the program I went to, it's called early college. So as the name has, I go to college early. I have 4 college classes, and I still have to take these mix of like high school classes still. But for the most part, I'm mostly like a college student, so that's just pretty much what I do. I'm also interested in cameras. That's kind of what brings us all together. Just the whole videography, photography, like editing kind of thing.
For sure.
Recently during quarantine, though, I started getting into like music producing. So I always kind of wanted to make beats, but it always seemed too hard. But then after just watching some YouTube tutorials, it's really not even that hard to begin with. It's pretty like easy just to get with it in the first place.
YouTube
Definitely.
University.
Yeah, man. I'm a strong advocate for YouTube University.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm into. Just a student in videography and recently beat making.
Beat making. All right, making beats. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of similar in the fact that like I'm into cameras, and have been since probably sophomore year of high school. Like I said, I'm 23 now, so I've been out of high school for a bit, but
A hot minute.
But it's weird too because I never really like I don't remember when I got into cameras. I really don't.
Same.
It just kind of happened. Like I remember the first camera I got, and I got it because I was watching Devin Supertramp. Devin Graham on YouTube. He was like the first filmmaker I ever saw, and he was running with a glide cam, and he started on like a Canon 5D Mark II or something, and then he got into obviously cameras way beyond my price range. But I remember that's what first got me, and I remember that was the first time I watched a video someone make, and I was like, man, this is cool. Like I would love to know how to do that. And then I ended up getting like a Nikon red. It was a red Nikon D3100 for Christmas. And
you were stoked about it too.
And I was hyped, man.
Yeah.
And my dad, so the glide cams are expensive. This is back before they had like, for those of you who don't really get camera stuff, now we have all these motorized like stabilizers. They call them gimbals. But when I started, I'm talking like I'm old. Like back in my day, but seriously, like back when I did start, those gimbals were way expensive. Like the ones they did have were way too expensive and weren't really accessible. But they had these things called glide cams, which are these manual gimbals. Basically, they were like counterbalanced with weights and stuff. But they were still like $500. I mean, they weren't like
That's pretty steep.
They weren't cheap by any means. And so obviously I wasn't going to get a camera and a glide cam for Christmas. So my dad builds stuff. So he was like, "Hey, I can make you one." So he literally
Was it one of those wooden ones? Because I've seen people do that, or the PVC pipe.
It was worse. This thing weighed 850 pounds. I mean, it was almost so heavy that it wasn't even usable. Like it was this long threaded rod that he like,
hammered.
and then he cut like a base plate. I mean, it was impossible. Like it constantly leaned left. Like there was no, because there's like the glide cam, you can fine tune the balance. There was no fine tuning anything on this thing, so it got retired very quickly. But hey, it was awesome because my dad took the time to do it. But he knows it also sucked. I mean, it's not like we're both in agreement that it wasn't good. It's not like I'm making fun of him.
To give anyone that doesn't know exactly how a glide cam looks, I guess, to give them like an idea, there's like a plate at the top, and then imagine like a plate at the top, and then there's like a pole that goes from the bottom of the plate to another plate at the bottom, but that plate has weights on.
I'll throw up a picture on the screen.
Different weights or whatever, and you're supposed to balance it with your camera, and essentially you're supposed to be able to rotate the whole thing, and it's not supposed to move. Yeah, technically,
it's pretty,
but it's annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it's if I can find a picture of the one my dad made, I'll throw it up as well. But nah, so that was like how I first got into it, and then graduated high school. I was like, I just did not like school. Like I liked English and history. That was pretty much it. I was bad at math. I had stuff I was into. I had no interest in going to school for, like to college. Like that, film school is great. Don't get me wrong. It's great, but it's expensive. And unless you're trying to make Hollywood movies, or granted, it's great for connections, meeting people too.
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel right for me, and it wasn't in the cards for what I wanted to do. So I was like, talking to my parents, I was like, "Hey, can I freelance? Let me try this." So I started freelancing, got some jobs that were good for like, I had 3 years in a row. I was working at Campbell University, doing some stuff for them, the medical school there. Yes, so that was good, and that kind of helped me get a jumping off point into that industry, and like I was able to rent some gear doing those jobs and learn more. But I pretty much learned everything I did off YouTube. I mean, that's kind of, you learn by doing. And But no, I mean, yeah, you can. I've learned very quickly that you can learn pretty much anything from YouTube.
If you look hard enough.
Literally anything.
Find the right channels. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And
YouTube University.
Yeah. So like that's kind of my background. But now I work at Quest full time at the church, like I mentioned before. But here, I mean, right now we're doing pretty much everything we do is a video. Everything's online with COVID. So, I'm still doing pretty much the same stuff. I'm just not freelancing anymore as much. I do some stuff every now and then, but I just don't have a ton of time. But yeah, and then like hobby wise, outside of that, yeah, I mean, I play guitar. Picked that up like 2 years ago. That's been fun. Really enjoy that. Piano a little bit, enough to be dangerous, but that's pretty much it. I stand by if you just learn everything in the key of C for musician people out there, on piano, it's like the easiest thing ever. And then you can just transpose. That's why keyboards have that transpose button. You can cheat your way to. No, I'm
if
kidding.
they got it, just use it.
No, there's but yeah, that's kind of what I do for fun to kind of decompress, But yeah, but I mean, so now that we've, I guess, introduced ourselves,
yeah,
and those of you who may not know us that are listening to this or watching, now that you kind of know who we are, I mean, I'll speak for myself, and then I'll let you guys kind of jump in to see what your thoughts are. But for me, like the concept of blissful ignorance, I just, like I said, the name of this podcast, the reason we're starting this, I just think right now, I think we're all, I can speak for us on this at least. I feel like we're all generally optimistic dudes. Like I feel like we tend to, it'll work out.
It'll buff out.
It'll buff out. Yeah, it'll buff out. Like, it's life. It's one time I said from the stage, sometimes life takes a dump. And you just gotta pick up and move on. You know what I mean? And but I think that we kind of right now all you hear about is division and people arguing and who's gonna be this president, or I don't want to wear a mask. I do want to wear a mask. All these different sides. I just feel like people just need to have more fun. Stop taking themselves so seriously and look at life through a blissfully ignorant lens. Sometimes I think that's healthy. I think there's obviously too much of that, but that's kind of my idea behind it, and I guess desire for this podcast is more to be just three friends from very different backgrounds. I mean, extremely different backgrounds in different stages of life can come together and probably won't always agree on everything, but we can have conversations and just have fun, make fun of each other, make fun of other people within reason. You know what I mean? That's just, we're very I'm sarcastic. Nemo's definitely sarcastic. Relly's probably the least sarcastic out of all of us.
I mean, I am, but
you
like,
are.
I don't say it.
Yeah, Relly just thinks it. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my idea around it. I don't know if you guys have anything that you want to add to that or not.
I mean,
yeah.
No, you go ahead. No, you
First fight.
Yeah. So basically, like to your point that you were talking about, like it's just how sometimes things could just get too negative, and there's just no point. I don't really see a benefit of like overbearing into the negative parts of things. So I definitely like the whole ideology of blissful ignorance. I hold on to that. I believe like when we were first talking about it, like in the car, when we even came up with the name. I think I just said it like something. I was like, it was in a sentence. It was like, yeah, sometimes you just gotta be like blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, that's what it was. You're right.
Yeah, that's like
yeah.
Sometimes there's no need to be focusing on something super negative. There's no problem being blissfully ignorant in reason.
Yeah, and I think to your point, like at the same time, it's you can also be
just ignorant.
You can acknowledge, just be ignorant. I think that's be angry and ignorant. That's don't be joyful and ignorant. Be angry and ignorant. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I agree. I think sometimes people harp on the negative. It's not that we don't realize the negative's there. Yeah. I think you can acknowledge the negative without obsessing over it.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not weird, but I think we had this conversation with Abby before. Like she said that like I rarely get angry about something.
Yeah,
I just kind of blow it off.
You just
like we'll be like with her, for example, there'll be something that like say we're in an argument and we kind of talk through it and then we get to the final solution. And I'm like, all right, and then I just to me I'm like, all right, let's just walk out, go on about life.
Yeah.
What's the next fun thing? What are we doing?
What's for dinner? Yeah.
But anyway, I plan on being the person that when I'm 60, well, at least I hope I get to 60. 60 years old, if I want to, like, get a tattoo or something. Just do something random. Go skydiving if I haven't already. So I just think, like, you might as well just have as much fun as you can in a responsible way.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
You gonna be that super cool grandpa.
Oh yeah,
you gonna be the cool grandpa,
the off the chain one. Like, what's grandpa gonna do next?
Everybody's got that grandpa or that uncle. You know what I mean? Everybody's got that uncle that's always there.
unpredictable
except
thing,
I'm not gonna like, you know how like most grandpas and uncles or whatever, they dress like cool, like back in the day cool. I'm not gonna be like that. I want to be up with the trends.
You
still.
keep up with the times.
the current cool.
Hey, I mean, sometimes you got to keep up with the times. You know, you got to make sure that you're not, as Nemo says, caught lacking.
Oh yeah, you can't ever be caught lacking.
Can't be caught lacking.
Especially in a stylistic way. You can't be caught lacking.
Although it's weird because like Abby and I were watching the Malcolm X movie like a month ago or whatever, and in the movie they were making some kind of agreement, and the guy said bet. And I was like, whoa, wait a second, because the movie was made in the 90s, like early 90s, and so I was like, wait a second.
I didn't know that was that old.
See,
isn't it weird? Like
how slang can just live on.
Well, yeah, but then how it changes. Like, there's some words that we say now that are slang that meant something totally different.
Oh yeah.
They're still slang, but they just meant something different back in the day.
Like how literally doesn't mean literally anymore.
Yeah, people say literally all the time in the most unliteral way.
So
and
like,
I'm guilty of that.
people use the word ironic wrong these days.
I feel like that's just
It's
I think that's just because they're not the smarty.
not the brightest crayon in the box. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Hey man, some people are meant to just be pretty. I stand by that. I mean, I think that's probably going to offend somebody. But there's just some, like, I feel like there's some people that are genuinely, they're meant to be like, some people that are super intellectual that can like think deep and go beyond. But I think there's some people that their purpose on this earth is to bring, like, honestly, just chill everybody else out. Like, hey man,
mediator.
Hey, it is what it is.
Hey man.
You don't have to think about it too much. Come on, let's just chill.
But then you might get caught being called like a hippie or something.
That's true. There's that.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's when you get too vibey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get classified as a hippie.
Yeah. What is that? There's an episode of Parks and Rec where like Andy, Chris Pratt's character, which anybody that knows me is going to be like, oh, rolling their eyes because Brock's talking about Chris Pratt again because I'm kind of obsessed with Chris Pratt. But he's talking about missaying words. It's like that episode where he's talking to somebody and he's like, reverse psychiatry. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, a lot of people do that. They'll just confidently. My favorite is when they confidently misuse words.
Say something that's totally wrong.
Yeah, my mom, love her. She's probably gonna listen to this and be mad. But we have like literally like a list of things that she says wrong, like sayings that she's like. My mom one time, we were in the car or something, and she was like, "Yeah, we could just kill two stones at one time." We're all kind of like, "What? You know, two birds with one stone." Oh, okay. My mom also says hydroslide instead of hydroplane. Like, if you're driving on rain and
that's a new one.
She said hydroslide. Yeah, I never heard that one before until she said it.
I'm guilty of like song lyrics. We'll be saying the song and like my dad would just start to hear me, and the thing that always gets me is like what'd you just say? Because I know what it is. It's a setup. It's a trap. He knows what I said. So this is a little response like what you mean what I said?
What you mean?
Trying to switch up the lyrics a little bit, trying to get it back on track.
You have to have a whole nother level of confidence to loudly sing the wrong lyrics.
That's what I'm saying.
Like just hey man, I know I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm going for it.
But then if you sing it wrong, you just got to keep going somehow.
Because there's no way you can defend it.
And then you got to start freestyling. Because you got to start making up stuff at that point. There's only so much you can do. No, that's funny. That's true. So how do you guys feel about like COVID? I guess I know we talk about it a lot, like kind of where we're at, but we're all staying busy. I feel like for the most part. I know at first it was pretty slow for you, freelance wise, but it's picking back up a little bit. Yeah.
As far as like work wise, it's kind of picking back up. At the beginning, I was worried. I mean, I still am technically. I guess as a freelancer, you're never worried.
You're never safe
unless it's like stuck in some contract or something.
Yep.
But I like at the beginning, I was working with a private school and editing all their like videos that their teachers sent in that were from a phone, but you got to deal with what you got, Yeah. But then as things slowly started opening up, I got more. But even then, it's like I imagine like if I was a restaurant owner and I've been closed and only doing takeout for like whatever it was, 1 to 2 months or 3, and then I open up, my first thought isn't going to be, hey, I need a video. I want to get a video of my meal or my dish because that's what I need for my business right now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they're possibly thinking of it like, oh man, people forgot about us.
yeah.
Like, oh, we got to get ourselves back on the ground. We got to start running these ads.
Definitely.
So, I mean, work-wise, it's I don't know. It's all over. It has been all over the place. As far as the virus itself, me and Abby and her parents were talking about this. It's like, obviously, when everything shut down, everybody's all about, make sure you wash your hands, you know, sanitize, all that kind of stuff.
Toilet paper.
Yeah. And
That was hilarious.
It still blows my mind.
And even like now, obviously the virus is still here and things are opening up, but it's like we've gotten used to this new lifestyle for now that we kind of have become more careless with washing our hands normally.
Yep.
Like, obviously, at least most people should wash their hands after they use the bathroom.
100%.
But like, just in general, so like,
Wow. Excuse me.
Hey man, I'm sorry, I'm just making an assumption. My bad.
like just in general, like, I remember when we would take the dogs out for a walk, when we got back in, we'd wash our hands even if we were only outside for like 30 seconds because we have at our apartment we have to open a door to go up a stairwell and then open our door for our apartment. But now, I mean, we sometimes forget.
Yeah.
So
nah.
That makes sense. You're just not as like focused on as you. If we all first were, I'm guilty of that as
So
well.
when it comes to like, and I don't want to talk about the virus because I feel like everybody and their mom has been talking about the virus. I think people are sick of talking about the virus. But
see what you did there.
Yeah.
intended.
I actually didn't mean to do that, but I'm gonna own it and pretend I did. But I guess really, you're like one of probably the most creative person I personally know.
Thank you.
When it comes to just like, don't get too buttered up, yeah, because I'm just kidding. No, I guess really is probably the most creative person I know when it comes to just thinking differently and ideas that are, I guess. One thing I love about being in the creative like world in general, and then this, I guess what you call industry. It sounds official when you say that, but is that you can meet people that are, I mean, probably equally creative as you, but they just think so differently. Yeah. Like they're creative in so many different ways, and I just think that's cool when you meet people like that because there's things that Relly does that I'm just like
never even think of.
Honestly, that never would have come in my brain to begin with, and even if it did, I honestly don't know how I would pull it off.
How do you get from brain to like camera to laptop to edit? Yeah,
and I don't want this to turn into. I don't want to bore people that maybe aren't into cameras or aren't into creating things in general. But I think it applies to a lot of things. But like, I guess when you start a project, like, what's your process? Like, when you have an idea, do you actually like sit down and think? Have like a time where I'm like, okay, I need to come up with new ideas, or do they just come to you and you just kind of remember them and just go?
I actually have this ceremony that I participate in every single time.
Oh wow! Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Some kind of chant you do? Like,
no, but seriously, most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, it's like I'll hear a song or something.
Okay.
And then mix that with like sometimes I'll see somebody else's video, and before somebody says, "Oh, you're just copying somebody else," that's not what I'm doing.
Inspiration.
Yes, it's inspiration because like I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in like nobody, especially today, nobody has an original idea. 100%. It's all built off of something else.
100%. It's impossible
because like obviously there's billions of podcasts. This isn't the first podcast ever, and everybody has their own style of podcast. But so like I start with the music, and then sometimes the music or the other videos that I've seen come into play. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Or I just kind of like try to combine things that I love. Like I have this idea that I really want to do very well because it could potentially open up opportunities. Like I want to make this makeshift Taco Bell commercial in my apartment just with I went and bought like a green poster board.
Nice.
And so like it's weird because I'm trying to make it look good, but at the same time I'm trying to show that like I'm not using that much stuff.
No, I get it.
So like
do a lot with a little.
Yeah, it's almost like a challenge for myself. I remember I was on I use Epidemic Sound for all my music stuff.
Shout out.
Not sponsored.
Not
Yeah.
sponsored,
Not
but we
sponsored.
recommend. Great site for music.
But I usually browse that, and I found a song, and I was like, it's different enough to where it's like not your typical commercially
Yep,
song. And then I'm just gonna try to execute. And the best part is, if it doesn't work, then I tried, and most likely I'll learn something in the process. So
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a good way to look at it.
Like one of my, I guess, and I feel like both of you probably experienced this because you both create things. You ever like started something, you have an idea, you think it's a great idea, and then you start doing it, and like literally in the process of doing it, you're just like, man, this sucks.
Yes.
yeah,
And then you're just like, I don't even want to finish.
or it
Multiple
takes too
times.
long.
Yeah, or you're like, oh, wow, this is going to take me 4 days to shoot this thing. Like, and I think that's with everything. I think I have like a track record, especially in school growing up. When I got overwhelmed, I would just quit.
Yeah,
If I felt overwhelmed, I was like, okay, oh, algebra's too hard.
I'm done.
Okay, well, I'm just not going to do the work. I'm not even going to try. And I don't really do that anymore, at least as much. It's something I've worked on a lot, but I feel like it's easy to like it, because for I guess reference, like really, what would you describe your style as?
I don't know. I really don't.
There's really not a word.
No, because like I enjoy. I don't do it often or almost ever. I would say maybe like 10% of the time, like the cinematic style,
Yeah,
which I love and I appreciate.
sure.
But
which is more what I do.
yeah,
That's more my thing.
I think mine's just more of a, if running, like, you know, you have the run and gun setup of cameras, which is just you're always on the go kind of thing. If that was a style of some sort, I feel like that's what it would be. Because like, as of today's the 17th of August, my last post on Instagram was that Tiny Planet thing where I'm like acting like I'm spinning.
Yeah.
I literally ran in the intersection. I like look left, look right, and there were no cars coming. Ran in the intersection, did it in like 10 to 15 seconds, and then ran back out because there was a car coming. And so like, most of the time I'll think of the idea and then I try to think of how can I do it the quickest, but still make it good.
No, I mean, and I feel like from just my observation, everything you make too is very centralized around the music you pick.
Yeah, because I think honestly, because like my dad's family has a history of like a lot of them were DJs in the past,
Okay,
and so
gotcha.
like literally, it didn't matter what kind of family gathering it was. It could be like we're going to grandma's house for our Sunday meal.
DJ.
Somebody's out there. I mean, that didn't happen all the time, but it was like
That's awesome.
music was always bumping. So like, and then like I just realized that the audio visual synchronization kind of thing,
It's huge.
It's
really
almost psychological to a degree. So like when somebody watches something, they might not even notice it's happening, but it affects how the video or content is received or whatever.
It's a pacing thing too.
Yeah.
Like, because for you're doing like a lot of stuff that, for again, I know we're talking nerdy about video stuff, but like a lot of Relly stuff. You check him out on Instagram at Relly Moore, right?
Yes,
Moore,
yeah, that's right.
Moorer. He makes killer stuff, but a lot of his stuff is very like I feel like most people can tell that it's going with the music because you're intentional. Like you'll cut stuff like to these crazy drum beats and stuff, or you'll play something, you know,
Like
which is
scale it up
more,
and
but like,
down.
exactly.
Yeah,
but for me, it's more like the cutting with the song applies to the cinematic stuff. It's just less noticeable because it tends to be more like, you know, the track hits a certain beat, so you just make a cut on that beat. I'm not doing like, you know, a ton of fancy keyframing stuff, but no, it still applies. Like because you want to watch it and not notice anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to notice at least when it comes to cinematic stuff, you don't want to notice the technical like the behind the scenes of it. You don't want to notice editing. You don't really want to notice those things. You just want to be able to be immersed in like have this story or this scene that just flows seamlessly that you really don't even realize. And I think that's, but I feel like it applies to what you do too. Because like in a way, you almost don't even, you're not actively realizing what's happening.
No.
You're just watching this cool sequence of or whatever it may be unfold kind of seamlessly. You don't even actively realize what's happening.
And then from a marketing standpoint, if anybody wants any tips out there,
All those tips.
because that happens, like your viewers end up watching it over and over again, which I guess goes for the retention rate or the plays or loops if it's on TikTok or whatever your platform is. So it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of what my thing was really as well. Just your kind of thing, like your kind of style, and if possibly whoever's looking at it will try to like figure out how it's even happening. Yeah, I know when I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't even know how he's even
which
doing
is why.
this.
So I kind of like I almost hate this part because I feel like we're talking about me too much. But
no, it's okay. Stop being so awesome, and we won't.
No, I'm not.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
So this is that's why like so I know you don't do Instagram or anything like that, but on all my Instagram posts, I have this section, which I do this on YouTube, that says how you do that. And I just explain how I do it as like simple as possible. Just because it's like I don't think like if I know how to do something, I shouldn't be like, ooh, I'm gonna keep this to myself because that's stupid. And some people genuinely want to know, or even people that have nothing to do with cameras, they're like, I had someone message me and say, I appreciate that you share how you do it, even though I don't plan on trying because I'm not a camera person or whatever.
Awesome. It's just entertaining, just entertainment as well.
Like when I was a kid, and I still do this all the time, but I always watch the behind the scenes on every movie I watch. Like if I got a DVD, I would want to watch the behind the scenes, and especially now I do it because I just find it absolutely fascinating. Like one of the best movies recently that I've seen from a cinematic standpoint was 1917.
Oh, that's a great movie.
That World War I movie that came out like last fall, like December or something. But it was a cinematic like masterpiece with how they did it, and the behind the scenes was absolutely nuts.
Have you seen it, Nima? Oh, come on!
This
man.
is what the average length of every take in that movie was like 12 minutes. It's like they would go 12 minutes without stopping record.
Wow,
and they would seamlessly cut, and they made it the way they edited the movie. They made it cut like almost like it was almost like one entire long take. The way they did it, I mean, it was pretty insane.
Yeah. Like if you didn't know anything about editing, there's only like one scene where you know for sure that they cut it.
There's a cut. It. Yeah, the rest of them are either hidden or they're something. It's pretty incredible the way. It's a masterpiece when it comes to on the technical level. So the behind the scenes, like you can see the scale. Like think about if you're going to move through this area for 12 minutes straight, how much space you have to have.
Oh yeah,
like the scale of the sets and all that kind of, and how many people you have to have. I don't know. So like that kind of stuff's always been interesting to me. So I totally get, like even when I was a kid, when I didn't understand it, it was still cool to me to see how something was done.
Going back to that movie, did you know in the last, well, I don't know if it's the last scene, the one where he's like running and everybody's like marching across, and he like collides with one of the people. Did you know that wasn't supposed to happen?
Yeah, I read that. I
was like, that's pretty funny. So he's like, Nemo, he's like running this way, and
I'll see if I can find a clip. I'll throw
the battlefield's like people they're getting out of the trenches or whatever and running on and like charging, but he's running against that, and then one of the extras runs into him, and he ends up like it's like full on sprint and collides and
boom,
like spinning in the area or whatever, and then he falls down, but he gets back up and just starts running, and they kept on rolling.
Yeah, can you imagine being an actor and like you're like 11 minutes and 40 seconds into this 12-minute take and you miss a line?
Yeah, that
would suck.
When they kept that part in, like, yeah, that's good enough.
You become the most hated person on set real fast.
Dang it, Johnny.
Yeah, freaking yeah. What did you say that one time you shot a video with me and you did one take?
One take Jake.
One take Jake. Yeah, you're not a one take Jake if you do that.
Yeah,
they used to say that at the news station.
One take Jake. Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a one-take Jake.
That's true. I mean, it's hard though. Extremely. I mean, even because Relly, you make YouTube videos. Nemo, you make YouTube videos. I don't make YouTube videos, but I'm in videos for work and stuff, and it's hard to sit there and like say the right thing. Like, it's weird. It's crazy how you can be in the camera's off, man. Your thoughts are so organized,
so fluent.
Comes out so fluent and fluid, and then. Turn the camera on. It's like you just forget how to speak English like, instantly. There's like you just immediately you become a moron. Like
I film my video in chunks for that reason. Like I'll record in my audio software, stop it, and then like just go to the next section.
Yeah.
And even when I'm doing that, I still end up screwing it up. So it ends up taking multiple takes just to get one section.
But there are those moments where like you film like or you record for 2 minutes straight and you didn't mess up at all, and you're like, man, I'm feeling great. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it was like one day recently, me and Nemo were shooting a video. Actually, Rully was there for that.
Oh,
Or no.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, there was 2 instances where this happened.
Okay.
You missed one of them. But it took, one was Nemo. It took 18 takes, the first one.
Dude,
And then the second one was like 28.
at some point it gets psychological,
Oh, if you mess up too many times?
because then you just feel like an absolute idiot. You're like, dude, it's like I spoke this language my entire life, and I can't get out a single sentence. I can't film a 2-minute video.
Hey.
So at that point, you just want to be done, and you just feel like you're a disgrace.
Yeah. Yeah, you're ashamed, but yet
Yeah.
also you're just ready to be done at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah, it's psychological. A lot of it is.
It
for
really
sure.
do be like that
It
sometimes.
do be.
It do be like that sometimes. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I just always found that, like, going back to what we were talking about, like the creative process in general, very fascinating. Like, especially other people that when you don't think that way. It's always been fascinating to know how other people think, just if they don't think like you. That's why I find it really interesting, because I think we both think very differently when it comes to when approaching videos, but together we can come up with cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like because you can complement, like, where I suck, you're going to be better, and vice versa.
Suck less.
Exactly.
Ooh, that's a good point.
That's
Yeah,
our
suck less.
that's Nemo's mantra in life is to suck less.
I'm actually planning on getting a tattoo of that. That's like pretty much like my motto. Like I live by that.
So explain the concept. Is you're gonna suck.
Yeah. So that ties into it. So you're in life, you're gonna suck. You just have to accept the suck, embrace the suck, and then suck less. It's a multi-step process. You know what I'm saying?
And then that ties into being blissfully ignorant.
Exactly.
Be blissful in your ignorance. And just for the record, when we're saying blissfully ignorant, that doesn't mean to be like, say ignorantly racist things all the time, or to be,
yeah, we're not talking about literally being ignorant.
culturally ignorant. That's not what I'm saying. I just think being ignorant to all of the negative, right?
Yeah.
And I think, because I don't know if you get this way, but if I'm so,
Infatuated.
if I feel, what you say?
Infatuated.
See, remember when we were talking about idiots saying words confidently that don't know what they mean? I'm just, full circle. Okay. On that note, we'll just wrap this episode. I'm just kidding. No, but I don't even know what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh,
You got it?
no.
You're talking about blissful ignorance.
Oh, yeah. I guess what I mean is, like, I really don't know what I was gonna say.
You're talking
I
about.
completely forgot.
You're really talking about like blissful ignorance and how like the separation in between how it's not literally being ignorant and like what happens to you when you get too involved in negative
Oh yeah.
things.
If I get too bogged down mentally with like all the negative stuff going on in the world, like it affects my creativity.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
it's hard for me to think. I get so caught up in whether it's personal, like personal stuff, or even outside of that, just all the stuff going on in the world. You almost feel like, what can I even create right now that's not going to piss anybody off?
Well,
you know what
that's
I mean?
like whenever the George Floyd thing happened, a bunch of creatives, whether it was on YouTube or Instagram, they literally, like, people of all races literally said that they just couldn't do anything right now because they want to focus on more important matters.
The leaders took breaks.
And again, that is, there's times when you just can't be blissfully ignorant, obviously. Like,
Sometimes
and
when you
that's
shouldn't be.
that's one of those instances. And I think I guess that's what I think we're saying is you have to acknowledge people's hurt and pain that you may not deal with personally, but I think at the same time you can also not obsess over the negative. Like, just because it could happen doesn't mean it will.
Yeah.
Good and bad. And I think a lot of times, and it's human nature, when one bad thing happens one time or it happens twice, then you're going to begin to assume that the bad is going to happen. But I don't think that's true. I don't think the bad's always going to happen. I would argue, honestly, that 70% of the time there's more good than bad in your life. I mean, I know, and this is me speaking potentially out of ignorance because I'm referring to my own life, but even when I feel like I'm at the lowest point or the things are the worst, there's still always a lot of good. You know?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Like if you now, and I don't mean like you have to look for it. But if you're looking for the good, I think you'll find it. Like, okay, by good I mean I have a car. All right? I have a roof over my head. I'm not hungry when I go to bed at night. If anything, I'm overly full. Like I have things that, some relationships may not be in the best position, or you know, I may have lost someone, passed away. You know what I mean? There's all these things that can happen, but they're still good. And I just feel like people can. I feel like we should all have a better outlook upon, like, okay, yeah, this life sucks right now. This is just not good. I feel like as a country, as a world, we're just. I think a lot of people are hurting right now, financially, emotionally, spiritually, like mentally, all these things.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, you know, there needs to be some lightheartedness and more fun, and just let's enjoy what we do have. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Problem is, people are selfish.
Yes.
Well,
I'm never selfish, but I mean, other people are. You know?
I'm the least selfish person I know.
I'm the most humble person I know.
Someone at my school was running for like a class rep, and he was trying to be like the treasurer, and his whole thing was going around saying, "I'm the most humble person. If you vote for me, I'm just so humble." I just started laughing so hard, man.
That would be
That
considered
stuff is hilarious.
irony, right? Is that the right way to use irony?
Yes.
Irony.
Irony.
I don't know how long we've been going for, but
Hey,
I feel like that was like a good note to wrap it up. Episode 1 in the books.
EP.
Yeah. I can't wait till we get like our little tagline or something.
Yeah, we need a tagline. We gotta have something. And
Hey, hold up. Suck less.
suck less. That's what Neiman wants it to be.
Always remember to suck less.
Always remember to suck less.
Something like that. I don't know.
But just logistical side of things, we're gonna try to upload every week, once a week, one episode a week. And we're also working on logos and stuff like that to try to build a brand around this. But yeah, so stay tuned for all that kind of stuff. You may see the logo on this video if it's finished yet. I don't know. We'll see. That'll be a mystery to everybody, including
And it
us.
might change over time.
It
too.
might change. It might. If you're in here 5 years from now, and we're still doing this for some reason, then it may be different. But yeah, bye.
Peace.
Remember to suck less.
Suck less.
Suck less.